Alright guys, I want to put a little disclaimer in front of this video. I made a mistake. I misspoke. My phone's down here like really loud. I made a mistake. I misspoke. Dear God, I'm the fucking devil of the world because, I'm not supposed to make any mistakes or not. But, I want to thank Mr. Eduardo for pointing this out. I didn't catch it when I was making the video. Nobody caught it. I also when they watched it, or they didn't say nothing about it. So, I want to straighten some things up here, okay? I spoke wrong. Deborah Shore. So Ann Vogel is replacing Deborah Shore. Deborah Shore was the head of Region 5 EPA. In this video, I said it was Mark Durno. I was wrong. I'm not too good to admit that when I mess up, I mess up. Let's see here. I wrote this all down, so I made sure I got this straight, okay? Eric, no, this is far from what I could gather online. If this is wrong, then, please correct me or something. But Eric Pohl took over for Mark Durno. And then Mark took over for Ralph Doolhoff, which I think he was the one retiring, maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that. And Michael Regan is who I was thinking of. Was the head of the government EPA, U.S. EPA, the big shots. He was replaced by Lee Zeldin. Okay, I wanted to straighten that up. I misspoke in this video. I made a mistake. People like to call out mistakes. But please point them out to me. I'm not too good to admit when I messed up. I spoke wrong in this video. Okay. Second thing I want to reiterate in my videos, of all my videos, everything I say in these videos are of my opinion unless I am presenting a documentation, recording, some kind of written statement from whoever, I'm talking about. It's my opinion, okay? It's my opinion on this situation. It's through all my videos. It's my opinion, okay? You're more than welcome to watch my video on mute, not listen to me, and you can come draw your own conclusion on what you're seeing. I'm out there showing what is actively happening, in the creeks, at the derailment site. It's I don't want you. I'm not out there pushing my agenda. If you think everything's okay, I'm fine with that. I've spoke to so many residents that think everything's okay, but then I've spoke to so many residents that are totally on the opposite spectrum. I can, I respect both sides. We all can't think alike, because if we all thought alike, then this would be a freaking very boring world. We're all entitled to our opinion. Some people get that I'm just pushing my narrative. No, it's my opinion on what I'm seeing, okay? Unless I'm presenting some kind of factual documents, it's my opinion. You're welcome to not watch. You're welcome to mute me and just watch what you see on the video. Or you're maybe welcome to listen, and maybe it might stir something in your mind that maybe, okay, this still doesn't seem right, or this is kind of odd. Or, just don't watch me at all. I don't do this for the views. I would rather be out there doing, much different things than playing in the creek as I have for the past, 2 years. I took a little bit of time off, but, I'm not here to push my agenda. I'm only giving my opinion and showing you what you could, if you wanted to join me, you could actively come down to the creek, and I can show you in person what you're seeing on this video right now. Well, any video, not this particular video, but any creek video I post about what, actually comes out of the sediment of the creek. You're more than welcome to join me. you can see with your own eyes. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. I messed up. I'm the the big devil now because I get stuff mixed up. Whatever. Just point it out to me. If I made a mistake, I'm not too good to say that. Hey, I made a mistake. I messed up. I misspoke. It was my screw up. So this is the disclaimer I wanted to put in front of this video. Maybe you already watched it. Maybe you didn't catch on it. What I said. But I wanted to straighten things up. And I thank Mr. Redwater for even bringing this to my attention, because I didn't catch it. Nobody else caught it that watched this video. So thank you, and I'm open to dialogue, of what's going on. But you're going to have your opinion, and I'm going to have my opinion. I'm not trying to change your opinion, and I sure hope you're not trying to change my opinion. Like I said, I'm just showing you what is currently going on in this case, in the creeks. And then it's up to you to make your own decision on what you see. Okay? You don't have to listen to me. You might think I'm a conspiracy theorist. You can say whatever you want about me. I really don't care. For all I care, you cannot watch my channel. For the people that do watch my stuff, thank you. I'm thankful you take the time out to, maybe see what's going on. That you don't get to see, in real life, basically, because if you're not down there, you're not seeing it in real life. You're just taking what mainstream media is putting out there, and that's what you're kind of digesting. So, thank you to all my people that watch my videos. If you don't want to watch my videos, fine. There's no hurt on me. I don't do this to be famous. It's kind of, was kind of a pastime thing, besides the last 2 years. I don't do it for views. I could care less about views. I could care less about followers. I just want to show what is actively happening in, the village of East Palestine that you may not see on any other channel. That is my reasoning behind putting out what I put out. So, like I said, this is a disclaimer. Maybe you already watched this video, but I wanted to put this out there because it was my mess up. I screwed up. I misspoke. I totally I don't know if my brain wasn't working that day, or I just totally misunderstood the whole leadership position. But, now we got it straightened out. Ann Vogel is replacing Deborah Shore. I had to think that through there for a little bit because it's too many names. But, so, my mistake. I made a mistake. Crucify me, please. Take me out. Drown me in the creek. Whatever you want to do. We all make mistakes. But, if I do make a mistake, please point it out to me. I'm thankful it was pointed out. So, alright guys. I just wanted to put this disclaimer in front of this video because, I made a mistake. And I'm not too good to admit when I make mistakes. Because we're human. We all make mistakes. So, I'll catch you guys later. There'll be more videos coming up. They've done their other stream assessment, their sheen assessment of the creeks. I would like to see their sheen assessment, but I don't know if they'll release that or not right now. I would like to see what they actually found. But more coming up in the future. All right, guys. Guys, you haven't heard from me for a while. I've just been sitting back and watching the crap show unfold. It's amazing how many things that we've been yelling about for the past year and a half are all of a sudden being found that is true. Let's say I was told a year and a half. For a year and a half, oh no, the contamination couldn't got to the wetlands. What do we have now? We have contamination in the wetlands, but they're trying to say it's legacy. It may not have nothing to do with the derailment. I like how they always put that may not, or they put that wording in there just to be vague. But it's just something a little different. You want a more, kick in the face? Move this. Thank you. Can't see. Vogel, report into EPA Region 5 Administrator. So she took Mark's place. And, if you didn't need anything else, to show that basically they don't give a crap about you here. They don't give a crap about what happened here. That should be, at least another reason, if not so much the bow on top of the present. This is my understanding. And this President Trump did this. Okay, now I don't like to get political in my videos because I think both sides are garbage. There's good and bad on both sides. But the big thing was, the sun's in my face. I'm sorry, guys. Big thing was, Trump gets in office, he's gonna fix everything. He's gonna make everything right. Here, okay. I ain't talking about. I don't want to get into other crap. What's happening across, United States. Here, what has he done? He appointed, okay, in my opinion, I gotta put this in there, one of the people that helped cover up the contamination and the exposure that was happening to the residents here for the longest time. Now, my thoughts on that is she has proved herself that she can keep her mouth shut. You don't want to put somebody in there that's going to maybe open up an investigation or start putting some documents out or so. You want somebody in there that's going to keep their mouth shut about this whole, incident. Why not? Put her in there. She's proven that she's kept her mouth shut. Where she's been. The last time I seen her was when I asked her about the creeks, and we'll clean them up. We'll clean them up. That's what it's fitting to be down here at the creeks making this video. Because they're not clean. They never will be cleaned. They left it go for over 2 years because they wanted to wash downstream. That's it. They wanted to wash away. If it's not in East Palestine, it's not their problem anymore. It should never took a year for them to even get started on it. But, it was all, we had to get work orders together, and that shows how much of a priority, your health is and your safety is to, a government agency. At the meeting in town, EPA didn't have the authority to tell Norfolk Southern they weren't allowed to lay down tracks on contaminated soil. What? You're the EPA. How could you not have the authority to say, hey, there's chemicals everywhere. You can't put new tracks down over this until you clean this up. Well, we didn't have legal authority. Well, if that's the case, then I would get rid of the EPA. What are they here for? They find a company, what Conyers, Georgia, the battery fire plant, $61,000 fine. That's nothing to them. What did Norfolk Southern get fined? Pennies. If you ain't gonna have somebody, agency around that's going, maybe first, I wouldn't say 3 times would even be too much, but maybe, hey, you do it first time, you get this.
Second time, fine's a little higher. Third time, fine's a little higher. Fourth time, we're going to pull your license, or you ain't allowed to be operate for so long until you can prove that you can not pollute the environment. No, they give out petty fines, and these companies just keep on polluting. Look at the cracker plant down there. What was it? Within a couple of months, they exceeded their emission limits down, for pollutants in the air. What they get? A fine. It didn't hurt them. They're still doing what they're doing. So I'd be okay. Get rid of the EPA. If they're worthless, if they're not here, to actually protect the environment and protect you, what do we need them for? That's just my thing on it. Just from what happened in the past, 2 years and what's going on now. What else do I want to complain about? I know you guys haven't seen me for a while. It's just, I had to take a break. You guys just don't realize how mentally stressing this is, what this was, and still is, to listen to people's stories day after day of them being sick. And then you got people being up there, higher officials up there, not even advocating for the sick residents. There's nothing said about them. No, not everybody's sick. Not everybody's body and genes and everything works the same as everybody else's genes. That's what makes us all unique. We're all different. You may be fine. Your neighbor may be sick, And it just makes me, they know what they did here. Why did they want to fund another government health study? How many health studies do we have going on now through universities? They know what they've done here. You're a lab rat now, That's all it is. They want to see what the outcome is, so they know what happens next time. They know how to cover it up a little bit better. It's just still costing Norfolk Southern money, and that's what I've been trying to do, and that's what I have been doing. We're going to have a video coming up of, you're going to get a little joke out of this. The way they check the streams for Sheen. I didn't personally witness this because I didn't go to that stream ambassador thing, because I just fed up with the way, everything's being treated. They wait to watch our videos that we put out, and then they spot clean that area. We were also, well, I wasn't told, but it was also said that we go too deep into the sediments, so we're getting into legacy chemicals. If I'll get rid of Vogel, but just because I don't want to see your face anymore, even this area right here, I have plenty of pictures from this area. This was once a humongous hole. This island wasn't here. It was a humongous hole. You step in it with boots, it'd go over your at least your knee length boots. It would go over it. You could walk through no problem at all. Now, the stream is ever changing. It changes from month to month. I can show from my videos how much it has changed from month to month. We're going too deep, and we're getting into legacy. This sounds like a cover up to me. They just don't want to admit that we still have a problem here, but. What are we going to do? But I just want to say, just with that appointment, and, Vice President Vance now, but was Senator, I understand as Vice President, he is under the President now, so he's kind of limited on what he can say, because I look for him to try to run for President sooner or later. So, you're kind of limited to what you want to say if you want to keep good people on your side, I guess. But check out his interviews from when he was senator, when he was here, and then when he was just here in town on the anniversary. Two totally different things. Even the EPA director, he didn't say anything. It's just, nobody's coming to help you. Nobody. You've written to your senators, you've written to your representatives, they know what's going on. The railroad company has such a pull in influence in Washington, D.C., that, I'm sure if you would check Trump's campaign records, you might not find Norfolk Southern on there. You might find one of their parent companies on there that they have donated money, under to his campaign. You want to keep big companies happy if you want to keep them on your side. When you're a senator, you're only your state votes for you, so you have a little bit more room to open your mouth and say, hey, this is wrong, this should be done. When you're president, vice president, president, you have the whole country voting for you, so you got to keep a little bit more people on your side. That's just my view on that. Like I said, I don't like to get political, but that should have been the icing on the cake right there. That shows they don't care. They could care less about you. 4,000 people, perish. They don't care. I think there was this one website. How much is your life worth to the government? And you'd be really surprised. Not much. They'd gladly do away with you to save money. And this whole them saving money thing, that they ain't gonna give no fucking health care to people in town. They want to. They're saving money. They're not gonna hand out health care. So you're on your own. I've been listening to that new podcast, that Unchained one. I may be on there eventually because I have little be known. I have never shared. I was. I shouldn't even say this, but I don't give a shit now. I was down at physically in the derailment site the day after they did a vet and burn. It's amazing what a fluorescent vest and a hard hat will get you into. I have never shared what I have personally witnessed. I wish I could have videoed, but somebody walking through there with a camera, no matter if it's a body camera or a phone camera, is very noticeable. So I was not unable to film, but the stuff that I witnessed down there with supposedly the EPA oversight going on was disgusting. I've never shared none of that stuff, what I've seen down there. That may be coming out, in the future. I don't know. Will do anything? No. But it'll just go to show that, how much they really, cared. We know what the deal was to get the rail lines open as quick as possible. It wasn't to mitigate a disaster or, save lives or however they wanted to put it. It was just to get the rail lines open. So I just wanted to comment on that. I seen that and it was just like disgusting because she's been non-existent since last time DeWine here was in town. Where's he been? Hiding like the rest of the freaking fools, because they know what they've done here and they know what's coming out and what's still being released. There'd be some interesting stuff coming out here within, involving other government agencies and how much they were coached on what to do here. So, keep a lookout for that. But I don't know, guys. Now in a coffin. That's what it is. They've sealed your fate. Let's promote the criminal. The big cover-up person. So we don't put nobody else, in charge up there that might be, a little bit more on the people's side and want to, investigate a little bit more. Hey, it is what it is. All right. I'm gonna get off 15 minutes. I don't know. Stay tuned. We're not done exposing these fools yet. It's still costing them money, and that's my whole goal. It's the cost of money. You're not going to leave here until, until EPA lies, enough for you to leave here, which is what they're trying to do. They want to be out here by June, and they're really pressing to be out here by June. You can tell. Most of the Creek stuff now they're saying is legacy. I'm sure there is some, you know, in here. There's any waterway you go into, there is some, but there wasn't that like oily sheen everywhere that you can still find easily. So stay tuned, guys. We're still going. Had to take a break, but yeah, it's getting summertime. Time to get start back up again, and maybe, you know, start causing a ruckus with some people in town. I mentioned, you know, some kind of financial info that may be released sometime or another. Maybe stay tuned for that too. You might find you know, find that interesting. I was told some names on there, and you know, this has nothing to do with the relocation cost and who really, you know, who got relocated and how much they were paid or nothing. This has nothing to do with this. This was money given out as I call, you know, as a hush money. That's what I call it. But stay tuned for that. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.